Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
The truth shall set you free.
You can't handle the truth.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
That's not how the Force works. Oh, really? You're cold?
I'm gonna make him an offer again.
I'd buy that for $1.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Hasta la vista, baby.
I don't have friends. I got family.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
I can do this all day.
Yeah, I know.
Hello and welcome to the Creative Control Movie Podcast, episode 26. Thank you very much for joining us today. Today's episode is going to be all about our movie roundup for reviews for everything that we've seen in November. So these will be movies that have been released during the month of November, but there could also be some stuff that released in October, even 10 years ago, that we have just got around to seeing. We want to give our thoughts and opinions on it. So it's just an open chat. We're going to delve into it. So this will be a spoiler review. So we're going to get spoilers to every movie type, but obviously we'll talk about each movie as we come up. So we'll let you know what those are. Joining me on today's show, we have our regulars Alex, Neil, and Sacha. And welcoming back for quite a while is Andreas. How you doing, gentlemen?
Good. All good?
Very good, man. How you doing?
Good. Andreas, what have you been up to?
Trying to watch some movies, just getting on with life in general. Catching up with a few series. Was writing a film script, and then just got to a point where a professional film script writer sort of like made us undo it all, and now we're at a stage where we're just stuck. So,
Okay.
Hopefully I can get back on it soon, but it just seems so daunting. That's it. Just eating a lot.
All right. Well, if you want some extra opinions, you've got a whole team here that's willing to help. So, all right. So we'll start off. There's a couple of movies which we're going to briefly talk about because we kind of did some in-depth reviews on them. So first one I think I saw in November was Last Night in Soho. Edgar Wright is back after a few years. Hadn't really done anything since Baby Driver. But I really enjoyed this movie. It was a classic sort of like horror thriller. Had some great jump scares, some twists, some beautiful cinematography, great soundtrack, all the things you come to expect from the director Edgar Wright. And I thought some of the performances in it were fantastic. Thomasin McKenzie, Anna Taylor-Joy, just all around. And so far, this has made my top 10 movie list of the year. Haven't got enough good things to say about it, really. So anybody else want to just kind of give their thoughts on Last Night in Soho?
That film was dope.
Yeah,
it was absolutely dope. And you know what? It still got the nicest guy in cinema.
The nicest guy in cinema. Someone else put out a tweet about that the other a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, this is what I said. It's like he is the nicest. It was Michael Ajayo as John. I kept waiting for a twist to come. With this character. He's going to backstab her. He's going to do something. No, man was dead straight nice guy from beginning to end. Just total faith in her, believed everything she said, got stabbed for her, supported her at the end with her fashion show, just delivered constantly throughout that movie. You might call it one-dimensional, but hey, I found it refreshing. It was just nice to see a nice guy on screen.
It was nice to see a nice guy.
It was nice to see a nice guy. You had the movies, the nice guys, but they weren't so nice. This is a nice guy in a nice film. Andreas, what did you think of it?
On this podcast, I'm nice all the time, and I'm a nice guy. Come on,
you're a lovely guy. You're the
best. You're the best.
You're a nice guy, but you got a foul mouth sometimes.
Yeah. This film was an experience.
Not that fucking foul mouth, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
He's definitely a foul mouth. But that's why we love you. You just say it as it is, no filter, no etiquette, just boom.
So if you're watching the podcast, Sacha's just jumped back to the 1980s.
Yeah.
Where have you just moved to?
Last Night in Harrow, bro.
Yeah.
I just moved to my living room because usually when I'm on the podcast, I do the podcast in my room.
Right. Yeah.
Where I'm sat, usually sometimes the connection drops sometimes.
Okay.
And I've had problems today with the connection, especially. And then I saw it drop a little. I was like, okay. And at the moment, I'm kind of home alone. So it's like, fuck it, I can move anywhere. So I just did the tour
Switched
of the house
up.
while you guys were talking, and now I've just sat up in the living room on the table because I don't want like young pictures of me and my brother up on the screen or anything. So yeah, that's right here next to these curtains.
All right, cool. But Andreas, about Last Night in Soho, what do you think?
Yeah, so I watched it in Soho at the London Film Festival, and the director gave a little talk before. It was at the Prince Charles, which I've always wanted to go to the Prince Charles. Very uncomfortable cinema, by the way.
Very.
Like it's really uncomfortable. And we were right at the back because, you know, we just about got tickets. But you know what? I got so. And at first I was like, oh no, is this going to be all right? Am I going to hear things well? Am I going to see it well? But being in Soho with Edgar Wright, it was a really it's one of those cinema experiences that you just won't forget, you know, that goes in there. Everything was right. And I loved it. I loved it because he's like our Quentin. I see Edgar as our England's Quentin. He's that singular voice. He's that guy that makes a film that you know it's him, that takes you into that world that no one else does. It's that singular vision. And from beginning to end, I just went on the journey. You know, it definitely wasn't scary at all. But his sound design was amazing, by the way. Like he had echoes of ghostly echoes, merging with sirens. The sound layers were amazing. The way it was directed, there were some scenes that blew my mind. I loved the 1960s London, the Café de Paris, the Thunderball. It's definitely like you. It's probably my top 5 of the year.
Nice. Okay. It could make the top 5. December's got a couple of big hitters, so we'll have to wait and see.
We'll have to
Okay, so we'll move on because, like I said, we did an in-depth review of Last Night in Soho. So let's move on to the next week. I saw was Eternals. So obviously, new film from Marvel Studios. This has split a lot of people online and even in our group, which we'll go on to here and stuff like that. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. It was different, a different pace, a different tone. The humor felt familiar. But I really liked it. I thought it was a huge cast to try and do a backstory with and try and make you care about these characters. I think for the most part they got that right. Some really strong performances. Speedster Lauren Ridloff as Makari, she was fantastic. And Harish Patel as Curran, just MVP. We saw Last Night in Soho. I was like, that's the nicest guy in cinema. I literally saw Eternals like a week later and was like, okay, now he's got some competition because he delivered in this movie. So
was that the valet?
Sorry,
that was the butler, the valet.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. He was cool.
He was a gem. It was, and the way he kept popping out these different camera sizes each time he was trying to record, it was on point. So yeah, for me, I consider this a top tier Marvel movie. I've enjoyed it for a lot more than a lot of the other content that's come out as part of Phase 4. We kind of did a rank. I did a ranking on Twitter the other day. This kind of, I think Loki was at top, and I think I actually enjoyed this more than Shang-Chi because I think Shang-Chi 2/3, 3/4 of the movie was fantastic. Last quarter, a little bit too much for me, not knowing the character going in. It was a bit like quite OTT special effects kind of ending. But I think where Eternals, yes, you had this big thing coming out of the earth, but the fights themselves were quite compact and isolated, and so it wasn't so big in scale, I thought, but the stakes were still there. But anyway, do you guys want to just touch on what you thought on Eternals? Alex, what was your thoughts and feelings on it?
I liked it. I didn't love it. So not like, unlike you, I wouldn't call it top tier for me.
I think most people is mid tier. They liked it. Yeah. They just didn't love it.
I think that's where I kind of thought. Visuals were fantastic. I just think it was one of those things where there's a lot of characters to try and fit into the story and to give background to, since they are completely new to all of us. It left me with lots of questions about how things fit and things that have previously happened in Marvel based on what I assume connections are supposed to be if they are sort of following the comics and stuff. So don't get me wrong, you know, come out and, you know, sort of, you know, enjoyed it, but yeah, it wasn't top tier for me. But
Yeah, Neil.
So I think it is second tier, but it's at the very top of second tier.
Okay, gotcha.
Right. It's not quite like, okay, if we have to draw a line and say this is where top tier ends, it is just below that.
Yeah. See, yeah, I get it. So me, it's not in the top end of my top tier. It is the lower end of my top tier. So we're very, very close in terms of, I think, where we're at. But if I was to say top Marvel movies, this would probably be included, where some people it might not. So where do you think it maybe just kind of missed the mark for you?
I think it missed the mark. For me personally, I think it missed the mark in... There was a lot of... how can I put it? So there was a lot of, like, things that they put forward in there. There was a lot of, you know, inclusion. So a lot of diversity and inclusion. And I felt like at parts of it, like, you spent too much time emphasizing it.
Okay.
Like, I'm like, you just need to show me that it's there and I'm good. You don't need to show me and then emphasize more and then emphasize more. I'm like, look, I see it. I'm happy that you're including everyone. Let's get back to...
Yeah, so they're kind of driving home the inclusion as opposed to just being included.
Yes.
They're focusing on it too much. I get that. I understand that. Yeah.
Because I feel like the way, for me personally, the way I see most Marvel films, especially the top tier ones, is like, it's like you're going uphill. And it just goes up and it just goes up and it stays at the top. With this one, I felt more like you were on like a hill road. So it went up and it went down. And it went up and it went down. And it was like the times where they kind of was like, here, we're going to show you this. This is related to the storyline, but then we're going to focus on this bit, which is just about the characters. And then here, more to the storyline, and then back to the characters. And I'm like, make the story and the characters cohesive. So it's like what's happening to the characters influences the story.
Yeah.
Not the story influences the characters.
Yeah, I get that. That's cool. Andreas, how was Eternals for you?
Well, I saw it late. I only saw it a few days ago on Sunday. So it's the first Marvel movie that I haven't watched opening weekend or at least the first week. And, you know, so I heard everybody's opinion and I was obviously quite the first rotten score. So I went in, probably my expectations are a bit more low. But honestly, it was a good film. Mid-tier, 7 out of 10. I'd put it higher than in terms of the Marvel movies, the MCU movies released this year. It's better than Black Widow, although I didn't think it was a shit. Yeah, I didn't think it was a shit show that Sacha thought it was, but it was better than Black Widow. And I come from the same view on Shang-Chi that you do, Kenan, where I love the first 2/3, but the last third, like literally hate. And I went back twice to the cinema to watch it. Once it went on to that island with funny little never-ending characters and dragons and CGI fest, I just switched off. Give me all that kung fu, the bus, the scaffolding, all that. That's what I loved. I was like, oh my God, I was losing in Shang-Chi. I was like, I'm like watching a Jackie Chan film and an MCU film mixed into one. And then towards the end, it lost me. But, you know, so taking that into account, I have to say, from those three, it was probably the most solid, you know, consistent from beginning to end. And Neil said it was going up and down. For me, I didn't feel like that. I felt it was cohesive, Neil. I just felt like there was a certain zing that was missing. Like just it's hard to put it in words. Like it's a certain sparkle that most MCU movies have, and I can't define it.
I get what you mean. It's a very linear tone. You don't get many peaks, especially character enthusiasm and stuff like that. So it's hard to necessarily get excited during that movie. You're watching it and enjoying it, but it's hard to get excited.
Yeah, but theme-wise, amazing. Nobody was wrong. Everybody had a point. Whether it was those big fucking creatures, whatever they're called, those god type. Whether it was we're doing spoilers, right?
Yeah.
The guy, the guy who sort of switched on his team and stabbed them in the back, the Richard Madden
Icarus.
character, Icarus. You know, you got his point too. You got everybody had a point. You know, to save the planet, but
Yeah,
then
Marvel's
forego
good at
the
that. They did it with Thanos, and it's kind of in the same
yeah,
vein. It's just like there's a
yeah.
justification for what they're doing.
And it was the most beautifully directed Marvel movie. It was gorgeous. Yeah, it was gorgeous. So, 7 out of 10, mid tier. I'm with Alex.
Cool.
Mid-tier.
Sasha?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought that I would. But I don't think it's top tier Marvel. I think it's mid tier. But again, I also think it's kind of forgettable. I forgot all about the movie, hands down already.
Okay.
I even saw it this month. You know, like at the start before the podcast, it's like, oh, what movies came out this year? And like this month, and I've forgotten that I saw it even like in the past month, to be honest. I thought it was ages ago, which doesn't bode well, really. My only complaint really about it that I had was that you had a high profile actress like Angelina Jolie in it, who was terribly underused. And there were quite a few characters where they weren't the focus. They were quite underused. So, you know, which is kind of bad filmmaking, really. When you've got like a diverse set of characters kind of thing. I think that character Angelina Jolie played could have been more serviceable if it wasn't her, if it was somebody else, a lesser known actress, because at least that way there's no expectation from any kind of performance or, do you know what I mean? Obviously, they probably casted her because she's got a multi-film contract, and her character will probably be much more focused later on, because obviously Salma Hayek more or less took front and center for quite a big chunk of the movie.
Yeah,
for obvious reasons, and I won't spoil what happens and stuff.
No, it's just full spoilers, bro. It's fine.
Okay, fair enough. But like, you get what I mean. But I didn't hate it. I came out actually really enjoying it, and I thought it was a good movie. Where does it fit in Phase 4 for me? Give me a sec.
Yeah, it's one of those things because it's all down to expectation, isn't it? Because I figured that Angelina Jolie's character would be in it very minimal because she was so high billing in terms of her name recognition. I thought she's probably going to be in the least. I thought for me, the more of a name you are, the less you're going to be in the movie. And Salma was probably in it more than I expected. But obviously, as the leader, she was kind of that mother figure and driving force throughout that movie. But yeah, look, we spoke about it. You know, could it have worked as a Disney Plus series? Definitely, it would have given a chance for more fleshing out of characters. It would be a high budget series, which is probably one of the reasons why they didn't go that way. But they are talking about doing a series now off of that, you know, to flesh out the characters more. And so that I think would be a great thing to see because, you have got some really great characters there and maybe just not enough screen time, especially like characters like Makari, Druid and stuff like that. They just weren't in it enough, even though they were great.
Yeah. I mean, I think, for me, it kind of went Shang-Chi, no, Loki. So we're including the series. Loki. Yeah, I liked Loki. I liked Shang-Chi. This is probably the third thing I liked from this phase. So, you know, it's not terribly low, but you know what I mean? It weren't no Black Widow. Boy.
Yeah.
I think we all agree we liked the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's liked, you know, well, our group has liked it. Some people just didn't like it, but hey ho, we're not going to be able to please everybody, are we? So, okay, let's move on. So, the next film I've got on the list is Spencer. So, this is the Pablo Larraín directed movie, starring Kirsten Stewart, portraying Princess Diana. I was actually really looking forward to seeing this based on the trailer. I thought it was a very powerful trailer. All the trailers are like, you know, amazing, you know, in terms of her performance, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I showed it to my my fiance Emma, you know, because there's only certain, she doesn't like superhero movies. There's only certain movies that she does like. And I showed a trailer. She goes, yeah, that looks great. So we went to see it. Boy, was I disappointed.
Which film was this?
Spencer.
I'm going to say
I was so disappointed. Now, one, from the trailer, it looked like it's going to take place over a little bit of a longer period. But literally, the film covers 3 days. 3 days of her life. That's it. She goes home for Christmas, and it's about her at Windsor Castle over Christmas. So I was like, right, okay. It was. I felt Kirsten Stewart's performance was a really over the top impersonation of it, rather than an actual character performance. It felt like she was. It was just she was over the top in her mannerisms, over the top in her dialect, and it was just. It was like a fashion show. Every scene she's in a different outfit. She's waltzing down corridors and dancing, and it made her actually seem like Dana was not a very nice person either. Just really unstable, not a fit mother. That her kids are really, having to manage their mum and her like mental illness and stuff like that. And I felt really weird and uncomfortable watching it. It was just really kind of drab. So I was shocked, and the amount of praise this movie got with her performance, I was like, no chance. I just do not see this at all. Did anyone else get to see this or want to see it?
I was contemplating watching it, and then I met you, and you said what you thought of it, and I was like, nah. I need to keep.
Yeah, I'd be really interesting to see if she's nominated for an Oscar. I mean, I know there's a lot of buzz about that performance, but I don't get the like for it.
So I had no intention of seeing it. Probably around Oscar season, just to say that I've seen it. But with that review, I kind of even less want to see it. Now, the reason is because Pablo Larraín is the director, right? Well, he directed Jackie with Natalie Portman, a movie that I was so freaking bored that I started looking up the incident that it was based on. Like, every famous incident that it was based on the internet. And I became more attracted to the real life telling of the tale than the actual movie itself. And because I was watching it at home, and it was, don't get me wrong, performance by Natalie Portman was really strong, totally deserved all the praise that the performance got, but the movie itself was boring as fuck. And I was just kind of like, okay, same director as Jackie, I need to work my way up to this because I got a feeling I'm not going to gravitate towards it. But you said something that's like rang an alarm bell with me. They've depicted her as a bad mother in the movie. That's not going to go well in England at all.
No, absolutely not.
And if anything, by what I know of Princess Diana from over the years of like the press and seeing her in interviews and stuff. With her children came first. So like that what you've just said there is completely baffling, really.
Yeah, there's parts of it where she wasn't really. I think it was trying to show a build up of her strength as a turning point to then become the protective mother, but it was a lot of fantasy element in it in terms of her head and what she was thinking and feeling and stuff like that. And for me, that's obviously it's for dramatic effect. Is your take on it, on what you think this person is, but the way she spoke to her kids and what she put them through in terms of her visible stuff, you didn't get enough of the negativity from the royals to justify her actions in the movie. Do you see what I mean? The response wasn't enough. You needed to see more history of understanding why she was in that mental state, as opposed to just having a difficult mother-in-law. So yeah, it was just really unbalanced for me. Really unbalanced.
She had the queen of mother-in-laws, though.
Yeah. Right. Let's talk about something positive. And this is one we would have normally done an in-depth spoiler review for, but just availability, everybody. It's Ghostbusters Afterlife. I know this was, round of applause. I think this was a highly anticipated movie by a lot of people. I know Andreas in particular, Ghostbusters, the first one's like his favorite movie of all time. Sacha, I know, is a huge fan. Neil, Alex, we're all big fans of it. There's a lot of expectation going into this movie. I'll let you guys go on first. So, Sacha, I'm going to start with you because this is a film we would have seen together, but you were in the States. So you saw it over there. How did you feel? Did you get what you wanted from Ghostbusters? Did it live up to it? Was it a disappointment? What were your thoughts?
Well, first off, I saw it at Tyson's Corner up in Virginia, Tyson's Corner 16, the AMC there. yeah, great theatre, fantastic IMAX. Saw it with my cousin Chrissy, and yeah, we both loved it. I was in tears at the end, man. Like, there is a bit of hardcore cheese in there, but you know what? Like, for me, if it didn't have that, I would have been. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's what I wanted. The only thing that I would say that I did, which what I did find a bit, I don't know about that, is when the keymaster and the gatekeeper meet up and start making out. I was like, that could have been done a bit different, probably directed a bit better. Like, it just felt far too on the nose and too cheesy.
Well,
And
sexiest man alive, lying down there with like a flower in his.
yeah, no, it's just a bit. When you
That's
compare
why
it to
he's
the
sexy.
first one, when you compare it to the first one, the original, like they didn't ham it up, they just did it. You know what I mean?
Played it
They
quite
just did it.
straight. Yeah.
Yeah, they played it quite straight, and it was what it was. Whereas this one, they goofed it up to
They
the
lent
audience.
into it more.
Yeah, and I was just like, that's a bit of a chalkboard kind of cringe moment. But like, and the other thing I didn't like within the same scene was that she's wearing Dana Barrett's fucking dress for a date. And I'm like, well, I get she's the gate, whichever one she was, the keymaster. I get she's the keymaster. Why is she wearing a fucking 40-year-old dress from the 80s, like out here in bumblefuck nowhere? You know what I mean? Like, made no fucking sense. But you know what? For me, the rest of the movie more than made up for that, like one scene in the movie for me. But I really enjoyed the characters. I really enjoyed Podcast. He was my favorite character out of the new kids. Phoebe, she was great. The girl, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. And come on, man, like fucking, what kid didn't want to like, you know, be on the Ecto One and fire a proton pack at the same time when they were a kid? We all had the fucking toy, the fucking Ecto One toy. Fair enough. The seat didn't pop out on the side. It went on top of the fucking car and stuff. Come on, we all wanted to see that in the movie. You know what I mean? And we got it in the movie, man. It was in, you know, it was a popcorn blockbuster. It did what it said on the tin. I've been quoted to say that it's film of the year at the moment. Maybe that's nostalgia talking. You know what? Like, it did the trick for me. I'm not going to be apologetic about that, man. Until
there's a difference in a movie being made well, having a coherent story, characters, but there's also a way a movie makes you feel at the end of you know, and that is what is going to drive you to like the movie more than not. Do you like these characters? Do you like the story? How does it make you feel? And nostalgia is a big tick, you know, for especially us like in our 40s and stuff. You know, it's like that is going to mean a lot more to us, and especially from what we got in 2016, which was just like a slap in the face. It was just like, you know, you wanted more than ever to recapture what we had before. Neil, what did you think of it?
I actually, you know what, I watched it with you, when we like watched it like immediately when it came out. I think I gave it like an 8.5.
Yeah.
I then watched it again, and I had to bump it up to 9. Right? I was like, this now. We all know about my love and affection for Star Wars. And when The Force Awakens came out, I was like, oh, this isn't a step in the right direction. It's a leap. It's a dive off a building in the right direction. However, there was one thing that happened in that movie that I was like, this is where you've taken nostalgia and you've taken the word literally and done it negatively. And that didn't happen in this film, and I was like, I'm impressed. Where it failed was, for me, the death of Han Solo.
Yeah.
Now, in Ghostbusters, that moment, like, can I say it out loud? Because we
yeah.
All right. So the moment where we see Egon Spengler, we see Harold Ramis, when we see him at the end of the movie, everybody's together, fighting ghosts, busting ghosts. Where they got it for me was the fact that he never spoke.
Yes, absolutely agree with that.
The fact that he never opened his mouth, never spoke, never said a line. It was just and it was, to me, it was like, what they did was they showed this is what you're supposed to feel, and sometimes what you feel you can't express in words. And him being there, and it was just it didn't feel like it was Winston, Ray, and Peter talking to Egon. It felt like this is Dan, Bill,
Ernie.
And Ernie, thank you. This is Dan, Bill, and Ernie saying goodbye to Harold.
Yeah. Okay,
and the fact that the film hadn't even finished, and when he went off into the sky and it said for Harold, I was like, "Yep, you did it right."
Yeah, no, absolutely. The moment, I was waiting for that extra thing to happen, and I didn't think we'd actually see, I didn't think we'd see Harold in that form at all. So, but when that hand came on to the pack holder and started helping her, I was like, oh my, I sat up because I knew I was going to start crying. And then it's like, down, it came, they were coming down, bro. I was crying. Alex, he was watching it with us as well. I was sitting there. I'm just like, oh my God. And I was like, okay, I need to see the rest of this film, wipe them away. But yeah, that was really impactful for me. Some key highlights for me. Yeah. McKenna Grace, fantastic in this movie. Really, really good. Paul Rudd, he delivered the comedic value. I suppose he was trying to do what Bill Murray did for the first, but it felt like Paul Rudd being Paul Rudd, very much like Ryan Reynolds is. So he didn't necessarily play it straight, but he did lean into it, and he was almost like a fan in the movie. So it's kind of almost like maybe our mirror or our window into it. Like we knew what happened with the Ghostbusters. We knew what happened back in the 1980s and stuff like that. I find it quite difficult that something that happened just became sort of like this like urban legend. It's like you had ghosts in the middle of New York and all this crap happening. Stay Puft Marshmallow Man 200 feet in the air. Oh, now it's urban legend. Like only like 30 years later or 4 years later. But I think Finn Wolfhard as Trevor, I think that was a little bit forced in. It didn't seem to have enough in that movie. But it's like, we're talking about nostalgia, so we need to throw him in there because everyone relates to that. Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie in it just enough for me. I would have liked their arrival to be a bit more impactful because, the whole point was like Ray says to Phoebe, oh, he took everything. He took all our outfits. He took all our plasma things. Then they rock up in their outfits with their packs, proton packs. And it's like,
no, he did. The way he said it, he said he took all of his. The only thing that he took of all of theirs was Ecto-1
and all the traps. Right, okay. But they just kind of stepped out of the shadows. It was kind of like ex machina, and it was just like we knew they were coming, but it's like I would have loved them to have driven up in a different car, maybe like a retrofitted Ecto-1 where because it was never really explained. Once he left, Harold left, it's like, did they actually continue at all? Was there, what kind of, so it was obviously just disposition they had to get through to get to that point. But I just would have liked their arrival to just have been a little bit different rather than all three of them in a line just walking up and saying, hey, we're here to save the day. Yeah. But
it's flat top.
But as a fan, I forgive it in like 3 seconds. It was like, doesn't matter. Yeah. they're going to whoop some ass, and but boy, did they look old. Oh my God. But then obviously we've got the post-credit scenes right at the end. We had Sigourney Weaver obviously return as well for like that weird mid-credit bit. And you look at the two of them and you think, oh, Bill, you aged badly compared to Sigourney Weaver. Oh, damn. Sigourney looked good. But Ernie Hudson, obviously, we have right at the end. He has the fire station there, which is strange because Ray said it's turned into a Starbucks. But, he's got that there, and it's just like...
Well, funnily enough, behind the fire station, in real life, it is a Starbucks.
Yeah.
Behind... Because I've been there. I've been there twice. Behind that actual fire station is a Starbucks.
Oh, there you go then. Maybe he's referring to that. So maybe part of it has turned into a Starbucks. So. But Alex, your thoughts?
Just echo what everyone else said. Really. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Wasn't expecting to see Harold, especially the way they played it early on, where it was just like objects were moving, like the light and the lamp and that kind of stuff. So I thought, okay, cool. His sort of presence is there, but you're not going to sort of like see or hear anything. Same as you, mate. Like when the hand came up, it was like, oh, okay, we're doing this.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, so how much are we going to get? And like you say, the fact that he didn't speak made it, because I think any sort of, they would have had to have used, I guess, either like previously recorded footage or something, if they were going to do the voice, and I think that would have definitely ruined it. So the fact that he sort of stayed silent, you got everything you needed just from the visuals. I really enjoyed it. I mean, people have complained, it's sort of like, again, a bit like Force Awakens was kind of like a bit of a rehash of
especially that third act. That third act is very much the first movie.
I can't, but again, maybe it's just a nostalgia thing, but I enjoyed the fact that it had the little throwbacks. I mean, I think even go back to Sacha's point about the dress. I think even like Paul Rudd is like literally basically in Rick Moranis' outfit from the first movie, when he's got like one arm of his shirt's all torn in exactly the same way, and that kind of stuff. Like, those little nods, they didn't bother me. They just sort of, it was like, okay, cool. You just sort of, a little acknowledgement and nod to the original movie sort of thing.
And Jason Reitman, he has come out and said, there is sequel plans in the works. He's, I think, definitely interested in doing it. I think Ernie will have maybe more of his moments in it. It's so funny that the actor Ernie Hudson, who plays Winston, he actually auditioned to do the voice of Winston for the real Ghostbusters animated cartoon, and they declined him. They said he didn't sound like Winston enough. And it's like, okay, let's not even touch on that. But he's also said that Ghostbusters 2 is canon, and there is a possibility that Vigo could return. So I was like,
I'd rather they didn't go back to the world there. I'd rather we just get a fresh new
I
thing.
agree.
Because, like, don't get me wrong, like, I like Ghostbusters 2. It's just not Ghostbusters 1. But I think here's the thing. Have any of you guys played the video game, which more or less was no one here has played the game on PS4 and PS3. Okay, so the PS4 game is actually a sequel to Ghostbusters 2. It's based on a script that Dan Aykroyd wrote in the 90s. Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis both wrote the script to the video game. The only difference is between the script in the 90s and the video game was they had to cater the start of the game to be more of a tutorial for players. And they thought, what's the best way of doing that? Let's update moments from the original movies, like the Library, Ghost, and Stay Puft and Slimer, to recreate kind of settings from the first movie before we go off into the main story. And that's not a recreation of Ghostbusters 1. What kind of happened? Spoilers about sorry, it's like over 10 years old. But the Ramis was still alive when they did it. So what happens is at the start, Ghost escaped the containment unit for whatever reason. Library Ghost, she's gone back to the library, but there's more ghosts up in there, and Stay Puft returns as well briefly, but they get rid of him. So you see it more in a 1990s setting kind of thing, but that's all wrapped up within the first if it was a movie, first 10-20 minutes, and then they go off into the real story, which again has to do with Ivan Shandor. Is it Ivan Shandor?
Yeah.
Shandor, that guy, the Shandor guy, and it's got to do with all him too. All the Shandors. Okay, it has to do with them, because apparently that's actually part of like kind of lore or something, to like supernatural lore or something. There was a Shandor type guy or something. I don't know how true that is, but like I saw like an interview or something, and they were going into it. So kind of leans into that a bit, and it was good, man. It was good for a video game. For a movie, I don't know about a movie, but I could see why it would have been really expensive, if that makes sense.
Right. Okay.
At the time,
especially.
And I don't think the end works for a video game. I don't think it works for a movie in terms of what we'd see. We give it a pass because it's a game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was fun.
So as the biggest Ghostbusters fan of us all, Andreas, give us your thoughts on the film.
So obviously this was my most anticipated movie. There was a whole bunch of us that went, like my age, but also my cousin brought his kids who are 11 and 15. So they're the new generation. So it was good because you kind of got their point of view. I'm a big fan of Jason Reitman. I respect him as a director. I like his indie movies. It started off brilliant, things I loved. I loved all the new characters. Podcast was amazing. Egon's granddaughter, was her name Phoebe in it?
Phoebe, yeah.
Yeah, he was brilliant. Paul Rudd, pleasure to watch him. So I loved all that. Finn Wolfhard didn't have much to do. So I was really engaged. I really loved it. I mean, things I loved, finally getting to see inside of the Ecto One. Like, we never got that in the first. Finally seeing the details, the gunner seats, you know, seeing a kid holding a proton blaster, doing target practice with a proton blaster. These were things that I was watching going, oh my God, I love all this. Like the way it was shot, the relationship, the new characters, the build up. And then it kind of got to a point where they thought, screw this, let's just ram it down their throats now. Forget the subtlety. I like nostalgia. Creed put nostalgia, blended it perfectly with the new story. There was nothing like, hey, look at this. Remember this? No, there was even a shot where it's just a subtle shot. You see Rocky's turtles in the background. You know, where Creed is pointing to the picture of Apollo and Rocky fighting, saying, "I heard you guys had a secret fight." One, you know, it was all blended in well. This one suddenly got to a point where a sheriff actually said to the girl, "You got one phone call. Who you gonna call?" No, there was no cheese in Ghostbusters 1. There was no cheese. The humor was never forced. There wasn't any set-up joke. It was just happened. It was, a little bit quirky, but it was really natural. And it was like this movie just took this sudden left turn. First of all, the new Slimer was dog shit. Literally, Muncher, it just fucking annoyed me. I'm looking at a shit version of Slimer just going around. I hated it. I did love that when they used practical effects on the dogs. But again, I thought, why are we doing this again? You were doing so well. Yeah, put in the news, put in references. I liked where this is going, but then it's sort of like, right, let's just redo. Come on, everyone, change course. Let's just redo what was done. And I was just like, I went from there to like, what are you doing? Like, I'll give you an example. There was a purpose for Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in Ghostbusters 1.
Yeah.
He was created because they had to clear their heads, and Dan Aykroyd sort of what was the purpose in them in this one?
Because of Baby Yoda.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I get that. There's marketing purposes.
Straight up, basically, for toys, cute versions of other things make money. So that was the only reason for him to be in this movie. It's like they were toasting. It's like they were toasting each other on the barbecues. Those don't have gas attached to them inside Walmart. Do you know what I mean? It's just like that doesn't happen. But it was just like, hey, this is gonna be cute and fun.
Yeah, they were cute, and they were cute, but they had no purpose. It showed me the difference between the original Ghostbusters and this one. And then when the original Ghostbusters turned up, it meant nothing to me. If you wanted to have them in, then have a story where they're sort of like Dan Aykroyd's trying to round up the other two and saying, look, Egon's granddaughter's in trouble. Just something, so that scene would have meant something. And then when I saw how old Bill Murray was in his suit, I just thought, but it was saved by Harold Ramis's ghost. Yeah. That was like, that just, as soon as that bit happened, I just thought, this is beautiful.
When you saw all four of them in a row, that was just so essentially, the film was really on the right tracks, and I was really loving it. And then I just felt like the nostalgia was so forced, man, at the expense of what was a story which had its own identity, while still weaving in the Ghostbusters lore naturally. And then I just felt like, I'm a fan, and you serviced, you pandered to me, but I can see it when it's forced, and when it was at the expense of story. But then when I get it. When it was over, I thought it was a fun movie. The Harold Ramis part was beautiful. What a send-off. So I'm mixed on it. Overall, I really want to watch it again. Like Neil watched it again, and I need to watch it again because
I want to see it a second time.
There are things I did notice. there are things that you guys will notice watching it again. Like obviously when you say about Stay Puft not making sense, there were tiny little things that I'm like, that don't make no damn sense.
But your mark went up.
Huh?
But your mark for it went up the second time.
Yeah, but the reason, because even though it's like, the thing is, nostalgia actually means, like, the word nostalgia actually translates to, like, pain from an old wound.
Mm.
So it's like, nostalgia isn't necessarily supposed to be a good thing. However, when it's handled well...
It healed the wound from 2016, I tell you.
Yes, it did. It did indeed. But I think as well, there is... I look at that film, and the reason I say my rating had to go, it had to climb, was even though there was things that they did wrong, like every film has things that they did wrong. Like, you know, when she pops up in the dress, she's barefoot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then when she's standing on the altar, she's got high heels on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like how everyone's Ghostbuster outfit pretty much fit them.
Yeah.
Regardless of like height disparities and the fact that Harold Ramis is bigger than all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But even with those things, it was like the little things, like it was like what they did was they took the first film and they said, what came from this first film? And they said the show, the animated show, the real Ghostbusters came from this. So that's why, you know, it's like when you've got the ghost detector and it flicks all the way up.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's why you've got the Ecto-1 has the gunner seat.
Yeah, I loved all that. I loved all that. All that I loved. I actually really enjoyed watching all that. But listen, don't get me wrong. I held it to a high standard because you know,
there was very high expectations going in.
And it made me understand how passionate Star Wars fans are. You know, I'm watching Force Awakens, Last Jedi. I'm going, yeah, it's all right. It's not that bad. It's, you know, I had fun. But when you're really invested in something, yeah, you do. You want more. And I get that now. I kind of really get it. But I'm looking forward to seeing. I'm glad it's making a lot of money. I'm glad audiences are watching it because I really want them to make another one. But I think they should focus on the new characters and focus on their new identity. I don't want to see.
Yeah, Winston can be the mentor. He'll bring a team together. You know, whether Ray's part of it or not, whatever. But yeah, they can definitely do something.
Yeah,
like
I'd
that.
imagine it would be Winston and Ray.
Yeah. Did you notice who played Gozer?
Yes, Olivia Munn.
Wild.
That's it.
Olivia Wilde.
Serious?
Yeah.
Well, did you know who played the Muncher?
No. Who played the
Josh
Muncher?
Gad.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
that makes sense.
J.K. Simmons was in.
J.K. Simmons played.
J.K. Simmons was Ivo.
Ivo, yeah, that's
What's his name?
Yeah.
You know what? For me, I felt like I was like, you know what? You guys are fans. Like you didn't get selected. You was like, oh, they're making a new Ghostbusters.
I want to be in it.
Listen.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's move on from Ghostbusters. Let's talk about House of Gucci. Ridley Scott dropped 2 films on us at the end of this year, The Last Duel, and obviously this one. So had a major cast: Lady Gaga, Adam Driver, Al Pacino, Jeremy Irons, Jared Leto, Salma Hayek. You know, some real big hitters in here. I went into this movie knowing the story of Gucci, so there wasn't any surprises for me in terms of the story and how it was supposed to pan out. And I think because of that, maybe I didn't enjoy it as much, but I felt quite slow. I felt they had some real pacing issues. It took a long time getting nowhere. I mean, you know, it was all about her trying to get power for Maurizio and stuff like that, but it just seems to take a really long time. And then when he got it, it was no big deal. Then it just moved on to the next thing. So whenever it tried to move to somewhere, that didn't really make much of a difference. And yeah, it just didn't play out very well for me. I thought there's some individual fantastic performances. I thought Lady Gaga was phenomenal. I think she was brilliant in it. Adam Driver, he was good, but for me, just seemed to coast. It was a fairly bland role. He didn't really have to do much. And Al Pacino, he was pretty good in it. I did like his term. Again, Jeremy Irons, quite a small part. Tried to do an Italian accent, didn't really come off. But Jared Leto, oh fuck me, that performance, it was a joke. That performance belongs on like Sunset Beach, like daytime crappy drama, Days of Our Lives shit. Okay, that was just so ridiculous.
I need to watch it. I need to watch this now.
Oh my god,
I need to watch it.
It was, it's like, because he's behind these prosthetics, he's like, I'm this totally different person. I can be this different character. People who know and like Tom Ford and everything come back and just said that is nothing like it. He hasn't done any research. He hasn't. He's wanted to do that, but it's like they're so over the top. He could have voiced Mario in the new animated feature rather than Chris Pratt. It was that kind of ridiculous Italian accent. Yeah, that was just a joke. And it's just like, Mamma mia, I got really low and I got so sad. And then I got excited like this. No, I don't know, Papa. Why you don't love me? He just ruined that movie for me. He just took me out of it. Some people probably enjoyed that because it was a very different performance from everything else that was going on. But that just made the movie seem like really unbalanced in terms of what it wanted to be. It wanted to be this gritty drama, a little bit, but then like murder mystery kind of thing, and then there's that. So that's my 2 cents on it. Sacha, what was your thought on House of Gucci?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, I kind of loosely knew what it was about, but I didn't know the full ins and outs. I didn't follow the case or anything like that, and I definitely didn't do my research. I just knew off it kind of thing, and I was like, okay, let's see. I know she killed him, but I didn't know how. I didn't. Yeah. I mean, I knew she hired someone to kill him. I was like, okay, cool. It is really Lady Gaga's movie. She was phenomenal. She was phenomenal. If she don't win shit or get nominated, I'd be pissed.
She has to be nominated.
She has to. She has to be nominated for Best Actress, hands down. She gives like one of the best performances of the year, in my opinion.
Is she better than she was in Star Is Born?
Yes,
okay,
definitely.
I love that.
She's grown as an actress over the years, and she doesn't even do that much movies, because of she's a pop star, isn't she? So but for the little films that she has been in, she's been picking the right roles for her, and not only that, she's been working with some of the best. You know what I mean? And Star Is Born, no one else could have played that in this day and age, kind of thing. Maybe there are. You'd have to audition them all, but like
that film was amazing.
But she was ruthless in this, man. And I really liked Adam Driver. I do get Ken's criticism that he was fine. Because the thing is with Adam Driver, he doesn't do a bad performance ever.
No, he doesn't do a bad performance.
Even in that shitfest, Rise of Skywalker, like I hate that movie, but I don't hate Adam Driver in the movie. Does that make sense? He's like, fair enough, I've got some shitty dialogue, but guess what? You're gonna get some Oscar-worthy acting out of this shitty dialogue.
He was great in The Last Duel as well. He, and Logan Lucky, he delivers. Yeah.
Okay, so. What's better out of the 2 Ridley Scott films that he shot back to back? Last Duel, House of Gucci.
I haven't seen The Last Duel.
I enjoyed The Last Duel more. Yeah, definitely. Okay. The Last Duel is basically, it's one story told from 3 perspectives.
3 perspectives. It's on Disney Plus.
It is on Disney Plus now, exactly. So you guys can check it out. But yeah, I thought it was better made movie, better pacing. Obviously, the first time you see the story, it goes into a lot more detail, because then when the story repeats itself, it just chooses the bits that are variants. And but all of them are delivering. And what I like about it is the subtle differences in each of the parts, because they all have to play it based on that person's versions of events. And it's the little subtle differences in each of their performance for each version, which I think is fantastic. And I think all 3 leads in that do really well. Yeah, this was okay. This was it's a fine Sunday afternoon matinee type movie, but it's not the big heavy hitter that I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I'm completely the opposite. I think it totally is. I really did enjoy it. The audience I saw it though, I get what you mean about Jared Leto, where it felt like he was in a different movie because he was he was the the way I saw it was he was the comic relief in this movie, because you know what? Every time he came on screen, a eruption from the audience.
But it was not a movie that's supposed to be comic relief.
Hey, dude, if it lands and it makes me laugh, I was laughing my ass off, man.
I was laughing at him. I wasn't laughing at
well, that was just it. He made that character into a buffoon. I don't know whether that guy was a buffoon in real life yet, but I bought it because he was a bumbling fool. And yeah, he did the best Super Mario. When you said Super Mario Brothers, I was like, yeah, he did kind of sound like Mario, because he does. He's like, oh my God, what have I done, Mamma Mia? And I'm just
it's like a really bad stereotype.
Yeah,
it's like a really bad stereotype kind of performance, and that irked me.
Yeah,
you know, I just didn't. I just wanted more of this. You know, just like this throughout the movie. It's just like, nah, it was just.
But you know what? You know what it is? Laughter in general. If you're in a movie audience and everyone's laughing, and even if you find it a little bit funny, laughter is contagious, man.
It is, but this wasn't the movie to be laughing, bro.
I know, but like, trust me, that theater I was in, we were howling. Everyone was howling.
American audience, so
probably, but I was howling, bro. I was howling.
You know what? But that is the type of humor that will speak to an American audience, and I get that.
Yeah,
you know,
maybe I need to rewatch it again and like I don't know.
I'd really like to watch it with you. I really like to watch. You know what? You can do a watch party on Disney Plus. So would it, I don't know if it'll be a Disney Plus movie, but if it comes down on Disney Plus, it'd be great to do a watch party on that to get everybody's reactions. So,
yeah, I've watched that.
All right. Did anybody else see House of Gucci, or is that?
No, I was looking forward to seeing it actually. Now I'm torn because obviously you should almost.
It's not. You should watch. Don't get me wrong. You should watch it.
Yeah.
Especially for some of the performances in it. You know, but it did seem like, you know, and it's, you know, the aesthetics they got was spot on. So like all the Gucci, the outfits, the props, you know, and that kind of the part of the business, they got all that kind of spot on. So, and the story is fairly accurate to actually what happened. They did hit a lot of the keynotes because it's based on a book about what happened as well. So yeah, it's fairly accurate. Obviously, it takes some liberties.
Okay, but was it better or worse than Spencer?
Better than Spencer.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely has some entertainment and redeeming values. There's nothing in Spencer for me that worked at all. Okay, so
would Spencer have been better if Jared Leto was in it?
He would have done a better performance than Kirsten Stewart, probably. Yeah, that would have actually been quite entertaining. Yeah. Okay, so I'd love to see him actually as Prince Charles. That'd be jokes. So a movie I've seen, but I don't know if anybody else has seen here, is Pirates. Have any of you guys seen Pirates?
No, I want to see
it so bad.
I really want to see it.
Oh my god! So I went to the Cineworld Unlimited screening before he came out. This film is jokes. I mean, look, it's not movie. It's
probably seen many times before. You know, three guys kind of their
one last hurrah before they kind of maybe go their separate ways. It's 1999, New Year's Eve. They want to get into a big club. There's one guy, who is it? I think it's Capo in the movie. No, sorry, Two-Tone. Sorry, Two-Tone in the movie. He wants to get with this girl, Sophie. They've arranged to meet at this club. And, you know, it's about them getting there and getting entry. It had so many... If you didn't grow up and go out during the 90s, this film probably won't hit in the same way. But the director was born, I think, 1980, 81, same age as me. So I was literally the same age as these characters, 18, during 1999 New Year's Eve. The language they use, the cusses, the music, the outfits, they even reference all the clubs that we went to, like Destiny and all this kind of stuff.
What?
They dropped they got it so spot on. Reggie Yates got this so spot on in so many aspects. It's just like, so again, it's that nostalgia hit. As a movie, if you don't appreciate all that kind of stuff, you probably think maybe a 6, 7 out of 10. But for me, it just works so well. And I tell you what, this kid, Reda Aluzar as Kidda, but he was fantastic. You know, he's the one in the trailer in the tracksuits like what he's like your mom's Narnia, bruv. He was fantastic in this movie, but Elliot Edusa and Jordan Peters, they're all fantastic in it. But they smashed it with this one. And it's a short movie. It's only like 80 minutes or something. It's not big in scale, but these movies aren't. It's like a different version of like In-Betweeners, I guess. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, but it just works. And I really recommend it. Definitely. If I see it again, I'd really want to see it with my boys, so we can be just like we get all the jokes together and stuff like that. So
is it out at the moment now? Or
Yeah.
It came out like 26th of November, so it's still out now.
I was going to try and catch it over the last couple of days, like in prep for today, but I just didn't get a chance and stuff. So.
Let's try and make that happen. We should go see it because it's jokes.
I definitely need to see that movie.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw the first trailer, I was sold.
And when like 2P is like does up this jacket and it's like this Avarax jacket, that screams to me because my dad used to sell Avarax jackets in London. So he owned a shop on Oxford Street. It was called Lace, then changed the motto. But he sold Avarax jackets. He was like the only one on Oxford Street that sold these Avarax jackets, and it was so popular. I mean, he sold jackets to loads of people. Mike Tyson came into his shop, bought jackets off him, all this kind of stuff. He supplied jackets to Planet Hollywood when they're setting up for that for the Terminator. So he had a great business there, but everybody who was anybody wanted those Avarax jackets back in the day.
Yeah, man, I had an Avarax jacket.
Where did you buy it from?
I had one. Do you know what? I may have got it from Oxford Street. I may have got it from your dad's shop.
I know so many people I've spoken to down the years when they say, I had an Avarax jacket. Where'd you get it from? Yeah, the street up in London, Oxford Street. That was my dad's shop. I was like, yes.
Yeah, it was like 93, 94 I got it.
Yeah,
on the shop on Oxford Street. It was like,
it's near Tottenham Court Road end.
Yeah.
So
and I had it for years, and it was baggy and big, and wow, yeah, man.
Yeah,
I want to see that film.
We've got to see this. Yeah, definitely catch this film. Okay, so moving on, we've got Rocky IV director's cut. So hey, look, we all love Rocky here. Huge fans of this. Rocky IV. We did our podcast episodes previously during the summer when Euros was on. So we did our best sports movies, and there was a lot of debate whether Rocky 1 or Rocky 4 went into the top 10, but just for different reasons. Because Rocky 1 is about the performance, it's about the emotions, of the drive. There's something about Rocky 4 at the time. It just kind of is that fast-paced, high action, high music, different kind of movie. So Stallone movie got kind of put on hold during COVID. So he was like, what can I do with my time? He approached the studios and said, look, I want to go back and do something different with Rocky 4. And he's done that. So basically, he took all the footage that he had, he's cleaned it up, he's injected it, and, he wrote and directed that. So he said, very much it was a product of the time. And actually, at the end of the screening, you got the Q&A that he did for the live performance. Did you stick around for that, Sacha?
No, I didn't watch it in the cinema.
Oh, right. Okay, cool. So it's available streaming now anyway. But so we watched his Q&A afterwards. But it was, he kind of explained, it's a product of its time, and it was very fast paced. It was less about more about the action. And, he said he's matured as a director and a writer, and he wanted to change it up because he felt he has so much good content, which was about the characters. So I watched Rocky IV like the week before to make sure I knew what was going on in my head. Right off the bat at the beginning, it's different. So the first 6-7 minutes is very much more of Rocky 3 because he's trying to establish that relationship between Rocky and Apollo. You get much more of them having conversations about their age and him taking on the fight. So by the time everything happens, coming up to the fight where, spoilers, DRAGO kills Apollo, it meant more. And it meant more about their relationship. And there was a really key thing there's a couple of key points in this. In Rocky, in the first original cut, Rocky's holding the towel, and you see you see the other trainers like, throw in the damn towel, throw in the towel. And he kind of holds and waits, and you think he was more to blame. He tweaked that slightly, and it didn't seem like he hesitated. It was like he was too late to do anything about it. Because that always made me uncomfortable, that kind of little bit. You get much more of the funeral scene, so Rocky gives more of a speech. Again, what's the trainer's name?
Duke. Is it Duke?
Duke, yeah. Duke gives a speech, which made more sense. You get a lot more at the cabin when he's training. Again, Duke's influence. Bridget Nielsen's cut out of this movie, bro. It's like, because that's like his ex-wife now. He's just like, yeah, I don't want her in my movie anymore. You know,
Yeah, I
she's
heard about that.
yeah, she's cut a lot out about her. But it was also very much about the Cold War, the reason why Drago's over, and you get much more of Drago's journey in terms of being this corporate thing that Russia's trying to put out there and being his own person. You get that in the original cut, but this one dives into that so much more, and you get more of those interactions between him and his trainer and Nikolai and all that kind of stuff. So and the fight at the end just felt more dramatic, and they totally changed the speech. They really cut the speech at the end in terms of how that was delivered. It wasn't as cheesy at all. And I won't spoil it for you guys because some of you haven't seen it, but I just felt it was a much better movie. The other one was a product of his time. His kid is very much cut out of this as well. He has a great moment with his kid before he leaves, but he doesn't switch between like his kid and everything at the end fight. One, because the robot's in the background all the time, and that's out of this movie. But it very centralized much more on the fight and about him and Drago. Run, keep cutting away to all these different things. So for me, it worked really well. I was really pleased he got the opportunity to do it. I think it is a better version of the movie. Not to say the old one isn't, but all the montages you want, they're there. They're all intact. They haven't changed. The only one is when he's like in the Lamborghini driving. It's like more black and white to be more arty. But the rest of the stuff is all there. But yeah, really great. Really enjoyed it, and I think he's done really well with it to kind of bring it more in line to the rest of the series. Yeah, definitely. Sacha, what was your thoughts?
I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was great. I thought well, when I say I didn't think it was great, I mean I just felt that the original cut I still enjoy today, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I get he was going for a serious tone and stuff, and I will agree in much of it he succeeds. However, I need to see the theatrical cut again, really, to make a true
Yeah, you do.
comparison, because it's been so long. So everything I say negative will probably be a bit off, but there was just something off about it for me. I felt some of the edits in there, I could tell they were new edits because of how it was cut, and that's probably because I've edited a lot of my own short films in the past myself, and I was just like, wow, that's horrible, kind of thing. That's quite an amateur cut you did there in terms of cutting a scene, and you know what I mean. I didn't expect to see that in a theatrical movie, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it might have been down to the content that he had
not
available,
really.
but
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
No, not at all. Just the way it was cut was terrible. It's something where some of the issues is when you're cutting digitally as well. If you're a couple of seconds off the reel, kind of thing, if you're pressing, sometimes you get like a few frames of black, if that makes sense, and then you've got what you've recorded, and it felt like they cut a bit too fine there. So I saw that happen like about 4 or 5 times during the movie, and at one point it kept happening in the same scene because it was during a fight scene. So I was like, that's a bit weird. But it's blink or you miss it, kind of thing. The only reason why I saw it is because it just because it was a fight sequence. It was quite easy to spot because it kept happening. But that's just me being a bit way too technical there. And being probably a bit too anal there, but like,
I think the end fight was tighter as well. I think that in the original cut there was quite a few like air shots where the punches didn't quite land.
Sure.
It was a little bit sloppy. This was much tighter in terms of the
that's no disrespect to the fight scenes. The fight sequences are a lot better. I like the fact that he doesn't like fully annihilate Apollo straight away. There's more. Apollo gets more licks in, and you can actually see him being the champion that he is. A bit more in this, rather than let's just put him out to pasture. I don't know how I feel about it yet. I don't hate it. It's definitely better put together in tone, because it feels more in vein of Balboa, Rocky 1 and Rocky 2, rather than the cheese fest that it originally was, and that was the mission statement with it. There are scenes in it that was cut which I wish was kept in. I know they wanted to take out the robot. not against that at all. But there are other scenes in there where it's like, wow, they cut that bit out as well. Why don't they just keep it back in and make? I don't get that choice. But okay, cool. So that's the thing I had where I'm a bit unsure because we grew up on that theatrical cut.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, for so many years and stuff, you get attached to stuff as an audience member, and you know, it wasn't. And ultimately, even though the tone was serious, it was the same movie, if that makes sense. The best way I could describe this is Superman 2, the Donner's cut. That's not the same movie. That's a completely different movie where you have scenes in it that are shot completely different to the theatrical cut, giving a lot more context to the movie itself. It's a different fucking movie. Like I was expecting that from this because he was kept like, it's more serious. This was more of an edit, and a lot of stuff felt like extended scenes, like the Duke scene at the funeral and stuff, which was nice to have. I felt, because even watching the theatrical cut, I was like, man, I wish Duke had said something, and he did, you know. But no, I didn't hate it. I just think I need to rewatch it, and I think I need to watch the original as well, back to back, to really appreciate.
You definitely need to watch the original before going into this to really understand the changes that it's made. But it's interesting to hear the fact that you didn't watch it that way and you just watched it fresh, that some things didn't quite sit quite right with you, so, which I think is totally fair as well. So okay, cool. Alex, Neil, Andreas, none of you have seen it yet, no?
No, I mean, I'm watching the original like in the next couple of days because you know the film finishes at Christmas, so it's part of the Christmas movie run.
Right. Okay. Nice.
Yeah. So you know, it's gonna get a watch. But I am intrigued by this more serious version of it because, like, as you guys will remember from our top 10 sports films, like this is not my Rocky. Rocky 3 is my Rocky.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see how you feel about this now. Yeah.
But I'm just like, I would like to see that more serious tone because it's sort of like Rocky 4 feels like it should have been more serious than it was. I think because like when you weigh it up and you the strong beats of the film and you think, okay, you've got Apollo's death, you've got the argument with Adrian where she's like, you can't win. And it's like you've got those beats which are so intense. Like, I think they're intense, but you've got those so kind of intense, and then at the same time you've got Paulie flirting with a 80s robot.
No, exactly. They definitely add more to the Adrian relationship as well, and her reluctance of him going and wanting him to stay and stuff like that. So they do definitely delve into that more. So when she turns up in Russia at the end, it feels more bigger. You know what I mean? There's more gravitas
like that.
to it. So definitely check it out. And let us know in the comments what you thought about it as well. Right, let's move. Notice, big Netflix blockbuster movie. It's broken all their records in terms of number of hours viewed. Dwayne Johnson, Ryan Reynolds, Gal Gadot. It would have been very hard for it to not perform as well as it did. It's a stupid movie. It makes no sense. Plot holes everywhere, but it's fun. It's entertaining, and Ryan Reynolds riffs. Dwayne plays a straight guy off that for most of it. Spoilers we're going into here. It's double cross versus double cross versus double cross in this. But it was just a fun popcorn movie. What I did struggle with a little bit is like he had like a $200 million budget, and some of the CG was really shocking in it. Some real bad green screens and stuff like that, especially like where they got the like the bull fighting and all that kind of stuff. I was like, that's not great. But it is what it is, and it's no better, but expected. It's kind of what I expected. What are you guys' thoughts on Red Notice?
I liked it.
It was not really interested to be honest with some of the stuff.
Neil, have you seen it?
Yes, I liked it, but I didn't think it was all that. It was like, okay, this is gonna sound it might sound a bit weird, but it might make perfect sense. We're gonna find out. I feel like Ryan Reynolds and The Rock at this moment in time, more Ryan Reynolds than The Rock, they're kind of falling into that mode that Kevin Hart fell into, where he was in everything and he was always the same person in everything. And because he was the same person in everything, you kind of he started to wane a bit. Like the humor wasn't as crisp, because it's like, I've heard this joke 10 times, you know, and it's like, in, you know, the things work in Deadpool because he's talking directly to you. So he's pointing at the things that you're like, this don't make sense. And he's like, this doesn't make sense, does it? Whereas in things like, you know, The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard and Red Notice is sort of like, because he's still in that world, you know, like, and it's the thing is, everything doesn't require sarcasm. So it's like every moment, every turn, he had a quip, he had a nice little comeback. He basically, it felt like if Ryan Reynolds was a teenager, he'd have been perfect to play Spider-Man, because he just quip after quip after quip after quip. And after a while, it just gets like, it's not as funny anymore.
Yeah, no, I get it, and it feels like a shtick, you know, almost, that, you know, this is, and that's why I said it's, you know, I said before, it is Ryan Reynolds playing Ryan Reynolds, and The Rock is The Rock. You know, they're often very hard to distinguish from their characters in their different movies. It's just what their occupation is and what's driving him to do it. And but that is what the movie lent into. That is what they wanted from this, from Netflix. They wanted to just like, go out and do your thing, because that'll bring in people to watch it. And you know, so from that point of view, look, it's a aviation gin and tequila advert. That is what this movie is. It's about their brands. It's about both of them just delivering their brands, their names out on Netflix, and people lapped it up. And yeah, like I said, it is a stupid movie. None of the plot makes sense, but it was fairly, and for me, it's fairly enjoyable. So Andreas, what did you think?
No, listen, it was really dumb. There was, you know, it's not a film that I'd probably ever watch again. But if you're not bored of Ryan Reynolds' stick, then you'll enjoy it, because that's what made it for me. It was him just being him. So clearly, I'm not that bored of it. Yeah, there was
not bored of it yet. Yeah,
like Neil said, where it was a bit too much. But and it was funny. I liked his chemistry with The Rock. It was entertaining. It was stupid. I'm like with you. It's like, this is ridiculous, but I'm enjoying it. Hobbs and Shaw type of effect, where I'm watching it and it's so dumb, but I'm just enjoying it. So, you know, if I went cinema and paid the ticket price to watch it, I probably wouldn't be so satisfied. But at home, Saturday afternoon, just fancied something to entertain me. Kind of
and the difference is this, and the difference is this, compared to something like Fast 9, that was a dumb movie, and it frustrated me because they didn't recognize how dumb they were, and it was like playing it straight almost. So really, that movie I detest. I hate that movie. But this, they lent into it. They knew, especially when you're looking at the outtakes and seeing how they filmed it as well afterwards. They're just there taking the piss. They just absolutely know. Sacha, what did you think?
I fell asleep halfway through.
Oh, fair enough.
I was drunk. It was a night out with my cousin. She was like, "Yeah, let's watch a film. What film were you going to watch earlier?" I was like, "Oh, this Red Notice thing." And we watched it, and we both found it entertaining. But we were both passed out, blackout drunk, because I'd been drinking since like 12 in the afternoon with my great uncle, who is an alcoholic, and
just announce to the world.
And just quite literally like passed out watching Red Notice. I'll get round to the second half, but I'm busy watching other stuff. So
no worries. Okay, so moving on to the last movie of there's two kind of things, but the other film that I've watched recently is Tick Tick Boom, from director Lin-Manuel Miranda on Netflix.
Oh man, I want to see that.
This stars Andrew Garfield, based on the life of, I'm trying to think, Jonathan Larson. creative Rent and stuff like that. His struggles about trying to write his first musical and all that kind of stuff. This is a really great film. It is really Andrew Garfield, absolutely brilliant in this, and I think this is an Oscar-worthy performance from him. He didn't know how to sing before this. He learned how to sing, and he delivers. He's powerful. He's moving. He's funny. It is really, really good. I think Lin-Manuel Miranda, he can't do any wrong. I think he's just fantastic. His music from Moana and In the Heights and Hamilton and stuff, and now this was like his first directing gig, and I thought he really delivered. There's some obviously there's musical numbers in it, so you have some like fantastical, like his imagination and what he's thinking, but some really just played out some really nice stuff just on stage, when the guy was delivering his performance. And it's about Jonathan Larson. He's just approaching his 30th birthday and he hasn't made it yet, and he feels like he's too old now and he's never going to do it. It's very much focused around Stephen Sondheim, who was a big influence on him, who's actually tragically just passed in the last week or so. I would just say go watch this movie. It's on Netflix. It's probably not that long of a movie either. It's less than 2 hours. But go watch this movie. It's a real delight, and I feel sorry for Andrew Garfield in the sense that anybody who's spoken to him about this movie, it's okay, you've done this movie, but what about Spider-Man? And I just really feel that it's taken away from this movie, and especially his performance in it. And I just more and stop worrying about Spider-Man. Spider-Man will come, that will happen. Just wait for it. Go watch Tick Tick Boom.
Nope.
The Tick Tick Boom will probably make my top 10 of the year.
Hopefully, and this is a wild shot in the dark, but I feel like hopefully Spider-Man comes out a week and a half, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm hoping is, just going off of you saying how good this film is, what I'm hoping is that people see Spider-Man and he's possibly in it, probably in it, and the film is just absolutely, balls to the wall amazing, and then people kind of use that as a piggyback to go then and watch anything that he's in, and they watch Tick Tick Boom and they're like, oh well, I saw this amazing Spider-Man movie, and then now I'm watching this, and he's also amazing in it, and I'm like, oh, okay, hold on, because I think he since obviously hanging up the spider suit, all those years back, he's made a lot of movies that people just haven't really gravitated to or gone and watched.
Yeah, Hacksaw Ridge he delivered again. He was really good in that. But yeah, there's very few that you can think off the top of your head about Andrew Garfield and his movies since then. Has anybody else seen it?
No. I've heard very good things. The same
I like Lin-Manuel.
So many people are talking about his great performance, but all they ever seem to want to ask him in interviews is, "Oh, you in Spider-Man?"
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Hopefully he gets some recognition from this. And I mean, even if he doesn't get an Oscar nom, he should get Golden Globe for musical or comedy. He should definitely be up for that as a best actor for that. So we'll see what happens. The other movie that I was just going to mention briefly, it's an old movie that I've just never got around to seeing, but I finally got around to see it, was Constantine. With Kenan. I hadn't seen it before, absolutely. Okay. And I was like, everyone's like, it's decent, and it's because obviously he's been interviewed for about Matrix 4, and he's like come back and said, oh, I'd read, more Constantine and stuff like that. I thought it was all right. I just didn't feel it. It's got nothing to do with the graphics or anything like that. I don't know much of Constantine, obviously, other than what's been on like The Flash and stuff like that. But I think the opening was quite good, probably like the first 20 minutes kind of invested in it, but then it just kind of lost me a little bit, and I don't know if it was the character or what it was, but it just didn't pull me in the same way. I kept getting distracted and from a movie, and when you're getting distracted, you're not being sucked in or enjoying it. But what do you guys think of Constantine?
I remember seeing it because I won tickets to see it off of through an email from a radio station or something. So I went to like a special treat. I actually got like a Constantine top or something that they gave me. So
Okay.
I remember seeing it. Not in like my usual cinema. I quite enjoyed it when it first came out. I mean, I've still got a bit of a soft spot for it. I know when it came out, obviously, because I've not really read like the Hellblazer comics. Obviously, again, I've seen Constantine since when he's turned up in like Flash, Arrow, and like the CW shows and stuff, and actually really like the actor's portrayal and that kind of side of it. But I do know that diehard fans were very anti Keanu Reeves when the movie came out because the character is blonde. Obviously, he's English and from Liverpool and all this kind of stuff. But so I didn't sort of have that baggage when I went in. But obviously, sort of supernatural kind of stuff is a little bit my jam. And so I remember sort of enjoying it when it first came out. I mean, I haven't seen it in a good number of years, so whether I'd still feel the same sort of today. But it's the sort of thing where if it was sort of like on TV and I was flicking through with nothing to do and it sort of popped on, I would probably sit there and watch and watch the remainder of it, whatever point it was in.
So what about Neil, our resident DC expert? What's your thoughts on Constantine?
I genuinely believe if you didn't change not one word of dialogue, you didn't change not one action piece, nothing, if you did nothing but change the actor from Keanu Reeves to somebody like Robert Carlyle, or obviously the actor, I think his name's Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan, I think,
yeah. But if you changed it to him, this film would be, amongst comic book fans, it would be as revered as something like Blade 1.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, maybe it was Keanu's performance. I don't know.
Well, no. The thing is, it's not his performance per se, because when I watched Constantine the movie, I just knew the Constantine character, and I like everything I knew, but I didn't know he was British. I just knew that the coat was wrong, the hair color was wrong.
Yeah,
that's all I really knew. I was like, and I'd seen the character because I'd read maybe 3 Swamp Thing comics, and he turns up in one of them. So I was like, oh, okay, it's this guy. But I wasn't as well versed as I am now. So when I watched it, I was just like, it's a really good film. It was good, the visions of going to hell.
Hell
and,
yeah,
I love that. Yeah, that was all good.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was well done. Yeah.
So it was like a mirror of the real world, but
that's it. Yeah. Sasha, what did you think?
That thing.
Yeah, I enjoyed it at the time.
Have you read it? When was the last time you watched it? Do you remember?
When it came out in theaters opening weekend.
Oh, right. Okay. So it's
Bear in mind, I have read Hellblazer, and it's completely different. But I knew that going into it, and I was just expecting a Keanu Reeves action movie. I wasn't expecting it, and I enjoyed it a lot more. But I haven't seen it since, so I couldn't have enjoyed it that much. But
yeah, it was fine. It did what it did at the time. Yeah. So, have you guys seen any other movies this month that you want to talk about? Not this month. Okay,
or not in the course of like, I saw a movie, but I literally saw it like the 30th of October, so I'm like, technically it doesn't count.
What was it? We'll allow it. Don't worry.
It was Venom 2.
Okay, yeah, we're not talking about Venom 2 because I ain't got another 2 hours.
I need to talk about this film because I need to talk about the fact that this film actually made me angry.
Yes,
in a cinema screen. Like, I've been in any time I've gotten angry in a cinema screen, it's because of something happening in the screen. Something like maybe someone's talking or whatever. I've never sat there and gotten angry at a film. And my gosh, Venom did it.
I blame Tom Hardy a lot for this, for his influence on this character and the production and everything like that. I know the studio, the writers have all got their issues, but he allowed this. He drove it, especially the sequel, and it's the worst movie I've seen in a long time. Just even from a movie making point of view. I know Andy Serkis came in and kind of directed it, but I just, it was a poorly shot movie as well. I mean, look, the character looked good for Carnage, but it wasn't Carnage, and Cassidy wasn't Cassidy, and it was just I don't know what Woody Harrelson was doing with that character. Just yeah, I could go on and on, but it's a very frustrating movie.
Check
And
check
what
out
frustrates me,
our review for
yeah, exactly. Check out our spoiler review. Oh, nice,
not
I've
going
just done
into
it. You know, yeah, check out our full review of Venom 2, which we did. And I go into much more of a rant on it. But yeah, what frustrates me the most is the fact that they're trying to tie this in now with Tom Holland Spider-Man. That makes me angry because it's like you should have had a better plan. You should have had a better plan.
Everything's backwards.
Everything's backwards. You should have had a better plan. The things that that you could do with Tom were fantastic. You fucking jumped the gun. You fucking wanted that money cow.
Jump the shark.
Yeah, and you went for it. You did. The first movie made you bank, and that's why they came back. And people went to see it. They still enjoy it. And if you enjoyed it, fair play. I'm not going to criticize you for enjoying it. Absolutely not. But as a comic book fan, as a Spider-Man fan, and a fan of those characters, bitter taste in my mouth. Anyway, a couple of special mentions for some series I watched. I watched Ted Lasso. I binged the 2 seasons in the last month. What a wonderful show that is. I understand everybody talking about it and the hype, the comedy. Alex, you mentioned it. It's like you don't even need to know football or enjoy football. You really don't. It's not about that.
As you know, I'm not a football fan. I couldn't give a toss about any football at all. But no, I really enjoyed the show.
Yeah, you don't need that at all. And
what's it on?
Apple TV.
Apple.
Okay.
I subscribed to a 3-month free trial, so I was like, "Yep, I'm going to do that." Because there was there's another movie I saw was Finch. That with Tom Hanks. Yeah, the movie because it's on Apple TV.
I thought it was a show.
No, it's a movie. So dystopian future. Basically, Tom Hanks builds this robot to not necessarily look after him, but to actually look after his dog. It's about obviously him talking about humanity, the robot understanding it. It's like Johnny Five is alive, kind of, but in a dystopian future and trying to understand human beings. Beautifully shot, really looks like a gorgeous movie. The effects are really done really well. Tom Hanks is just great at talking at objects like Wilson and stuff like that. He just does it to a T. It's literally Tom Hanks, the dog, and Finch. That is it. There's nobody else in this movie.
Okay.
And it works. It does work. I really quite enjoyed it. It was moving in some sections, and it was just a really, really sweet film. I thought, it was nicely done by Apple. So fair play to them. I enjoyed that. Sacha, you wanted to talk about Cowboy Bebop, didn't you?
I approve. 7 episodes in, love it. Sure, there are some changes. One that I particularly don't like, but I want to see how it pays off. I'm just going to say what they did with the character of Vicious.
Mm-hmm.
Not a fan at the minute, but maybe I might grow into it when it comes to the end. But so far, I'm digging it. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm 5 episodes in and I'm enjoying it. I only watched the first episode of Cowboy Bebop so I could get the feel for the show to see what they've done with the live action compared to the anime. So I'm going to finish the live action, go back and watch the anime, and but so far I'm enjoying it for what it is. It's what I expected from the trailers. It hasn't surprised me in that sense in terms of its tone, the humor, the aesthetics, and stuff like that. So I'm on board. I'm enjoying it. So I have to say, guys, is there anything else that you've seen this month you want to talk about?
I'm trying to think if there's anything. The only thing I remember seeing, talking about Netflix stuff, was obviously the conclusion of Masters of the Universe, which I enjoyed.
Oh yes, of course. Masters of the Universe Part 2. Yo, that was dope. I ain't gonna lie. Part 2. If I know a lot of people split on the first part because they felt it was like a bait and switch.
Yeah.
If you watch it as a whole, I don't see your arguments. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter come back and say, fair play, didn't like part 1, but after part 2, as a whole thing, I dig it.
Makes
and
sense.
I know Sacha was like, he didn't really want to give a final review on it based on part 1 because he's like, I need to see the whole thing. So Sacha, when you do see it, let us know because I thought it was well done. It takes He-Man and the Masters of the Universe to another level in terms of its scope, the powers, but there's some really great character moments. There's one line by Fisto, which is just magic. And it's just and it's like it hits all those beats you expect it to do. So I think Kevin Smith's done an amazing job, and I think he's agreed to do season 2. So fair play to the guy.
Been confirmed, is it?
Yeah, he says he's working on it, so I think pretty much it's going to be signed off. I can't see any reason why. And to have said that, it was really talented cast as well, that came on board. So yeah, just fantastic. Really enjoyed it. What did you think, Alex?
Yeah, same mate. I love it. I mean, obviously, I enjoyed the first part. I wasn't
Same.
one of those people that didn't enjoy the first half. So yeah, and I thought it wrapped up well. Yeah, all the characters, like I say, Evelyn was awesome in that second half. I mean, she was great in the first half anyway, but yeah, in the second half as well. And yeah, as we kind of said, I know we talked about it. I don't know if we did a full review or we did something on it, didn't we, in the first half? But as we sort of said,
we did a full spoiler review. Yeah.
As I'm sure we mentioned in that, it's like, well, it was obviously initially going to probably drop as a full 10.
Yeah.
And not be split in two. So I think, all the controversy and all the issues people had, they would not have had if it had dropped.
Yeah, that's right. I think production was kind of delayed because of COVID, and so they decided to release it in 2 parts to allow them time to, because otherwise the whole thing would have been delayed. And obviously they wanted to hit a certain time for the first part. So, and obviously toys were sitting there to be released, So, and actually touching on toys, one thing I didn't like about what they did with Ghostbusters Afterlife is they actually released a toy of Harold Ramis's character.
Oh, really?
Which I think is really distasteful.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. Yeah, I didn't know they did that. Okay.
Yeah, they did it as a twin pack with his granddaughter, as like the ghost of him, and didn't like that.
Okay.
Didn't like that at all.
Yeah,
that's the cash in, and that's not.
I'm not. That's a bit off.
But I think that's it. So thank you very much for joining us today, gentlemen. Unfortunately, Andreas has had to drop off, and I think he had some connection issues. But yeah, so thank you very much for listening. Really appreciate it. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are on all different movies. Are there any movies that have dropped in the last month that you think we should check out? Do let us know, because we'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions and your ideas. Gentlemen, if people want to get hold of you on social media, if there's anything you want to pimp out, now is your time. Alex, we'll start with you.
I'm on Instagram at Lex_Damon. Not that I post very often, but you can check me out there if you like.
Cool. Neil?
I am on Instagram at the Neil Coppin, and I am going to be posting every day this month because I'm doing my Christmas movie run.
Nice. Okay. Sacha?
What's going on?
You can find Sacha at Satchman3 on Twitter. And if you like retro gaming, you should download and stream on your mobile. I've done it for you.
There we go.
Available on the Apple App Store, iTunes, Apple Store, and Google Play Store. Anyway, you can catch me on Twitter at Kenan Talks Film, and please, subscribe to our podcast. We'd love you to be a follower, especially on this channel on YouTube. So all our episodes are here available on YouTube, especially our spoiler reviews and trailer reactions. Trailer reactions you can only get on the YouTube channel, but obviously all our podcast episodes are otherwise available on all major platforms, including Good Pods, which is a great platform for independent podcasters. We've been high in the rankings on TV and film, but we dropped up in the last couple of weeks because we haven't had the new content, but we're coming back now, coming back strong. Hopefully what we're trying to get out in the next few weeks is obviously we're going to have a full Spider-Man review. It's coming out on the 15th of December here in the UK. We will drop a review that night on the 15th. We will do it in 2 kind of sections. We'll do a spoiler-free start version and then a spoiler version at the end, to try and make sure that if you want to get an understanding for it, or if you want to stick around for the whole thing, because we know it's dropping 2 days earlier than America. There was a 7 a.m. show, but when I was booking tickets, I didn't think the guys would appreciate that, so I went for the 10:30 show. So we're seeing that IMAX Waterloo, biggest screen we can in the country. And also we're going to have The Matrix later this month. We're going to do a Christmas top 10 movie list. We'll lots of stuff coming this month, so keep an eye out. So yeah, make sure you like, subscribe, share, follow, do your thing, support the channel. I love you very much. That's it. Thank you very much for joining us. And until next time, peace out.
Peace.